Welcome back. One of South Africa's biggest pet food manufacturers, Montego Pet Nutrition, has been invited to represent the private sector at the Expo2020 next week. The expo, hosted in Dubai, gives countries an opportunity to promote themselves. The invitation was extended by the Department of Trade and Industry. Reports have shown that the local pet food industry is worth over 7 billion rand. Well, let's talk a bit more about it then. I'm joined by Montego Pet Nutrition Managing Director, Johan van Jaarsveld, who joins me now for that conversation. Johan, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So this opportunity to showcase at the Expo 2020 in Dubai is a big opportunity, right? I suppose it says something about the state of the industry, pet food manufacturing, particularly locally.
Thank you, Tudas. Yes, good morning, and thank you for inviting me on the show. Yes, pet food manufacturing in South Africa is a healthy environment at the moment, and also exports into Africa. Pet ownership, not only in South Africa, but into Africa as a whole, is growing. And yes, the pets need to be fed.
And is there a sense that the industry is growing? And what do you believe is behind that, the growth of the industry?
Well, since 2020 and our first hard lockdowns, the global industry was kind of holding their breaths to see whether the pet industry globally will uphold its name as almost a recession-proof industry. But looking into COVID and looking into the lockdowns, we had absolutely no idea what we had to get ready for. What we did then see is, again, as people tend to spend more time at home, they spend more time on their families, and they spend more on their families. And that, coupled with humanization, where pets are today fully seen as being part of the family, that definitely has driven global demand for pets. And also in certain categories of the pet industry where we could see a growth specifically in treats and in wet food, as humanization and spending time at home with your family and your pets have driven that growth. Now, we are seeing the same trends coming into South Africa and Africa in a general term, where pets are such a big part of our families, and where we as families want to treat them as members of the family.
So
we are seeing them.
Yeah.
We are seeing a growth globally since 2020, where we are expecting globally a compound annual growth rate of about 4.7% from 2021 up to 2030.
Johan, what are the input factors locally that we need to consider in as far as this sector is concerned? For instance, around issues of being able to participate in that particular industry. How easy is it to enter into, and you know, in which category does it fall? Is it more agriculture leaning in that, you know, the production side of things is more agriculture leaning with linkages to other realities of the agriculture sector?
It is an interesting sector to us. While we are heavily regulated in the South African pet industry scope with registrations with the Department of Agriculture under Act 36 of 1947, we also then, as soon as the product is manufactured, we cross over into the grocery sphere, where we compete as a fast-moving consumable good. So in South Africa, yes, pet food is seen as an agricultural input, but as soon as we cross over into the consumer space, we essentially become a FMCG. It's not that easy, actually, to enter the pet food category in South Africa. A lot of our raw materials are imported, a bulk of our product being our protein imports or inputs into the pet food is mostly imported from overseas. And locally, we rely on maize production, maize prices, and our supply chain. In South Africa, of course, as well, the labour component plays a big role in the manufacturing of pet food and the distribution thereof as well.
But interestingly, you are saying that there's a phenomenon called that you are calling humanization of pets, and you are saying that it could account for the growth in the pet food industry locally. Humanization, and you're saying you are seeing more and more young people opting to become parents as opposed to parents.
We are, and we are seeing that in South Africa as well. Well, firstly, with regards to humanization, where we can definitely see that people would want to feed their pets the same as what they are eating. We're seeing pet foods with large proportions of meat content included. We're seeing cranberries, mint, oregano, even oranges and apples being introduced now into pet food. And we believe that a lot of the growth into humanization is also driven by the millennials and the way that they see pets. And yes, you mentioned there that families are getting babies or children at a later stage, and they are almost exploring the concept of looking after a being by first getting pets and then later moving over to children.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time, Johan. This has been quite enlightening. Johan van Jaarsveld. I myself am not a pet owner, I'm not a pet person, but I'm happy to hear that people are treating their pets better than one Chelsea football player, the former Chelsea, I should mention, Kurt Zuma, who was seen abusing his pets. All right, thank you for that. That's Johan van Jaarsveld there, who is the MD of the pet nutrition company Montego. Yeah, as I say, it's good that people are not treating their pets the way that Kurt Zuma, that football player, has been treating his pets.